My name is Felipe Royal, and I'm the Executive Director of the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership. I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight. And a little bit apart from each of you have been with us for each of these 30 years. Starting back in 1995 with Bridgepoint Apartments, through 7 different first-time homebuyer communities for 104 families, and the approximately 900 residents that call our different apartment homes today. We have some residents. So we have representatives from the MFA, from the City of Albuquerque, from some of our funders. We thank you all for believing in our vision. For all of our service partners, I want to thank you guys for helping us deliver the best experience we can for our community. And I'd like to think we're changing lives. For everyone else, whether that being our staff, our board of directors, everyone else who's a little bit a part of our team, thank you guys for coming here tonight. 30 years ago, we decided we're going to have a party. And we decided we were going to have it on May the 4th be with you in anticipation for Cinco de Mayo. But all kidding aside, there was some vision to sitting on our board of directors and forming this organization 30 years ago. And I'm so proud of the work we've done over that time. As we open up new communities and start new developments, it just, so thankful for all of you guys that have helped GAP go and grow for these 30 years. Right here at the front, I want to thank my family. I know it's always a little bit tough, especially when we're closing and things get a little bit hectic and picking up the slack. So I thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. They've grown up. I have pictures of at least these two with the orange vest that goes down to their ankles. And the list of texts that say, "Mom, come pick this up. This is so good." It was an OAC meeting. On that, I want to thank you guys who enjoyed the dinner, and I'd like to invite up Izzy Hernandez from the Mortgage Finance Authority. Thank you.
Is tall. Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished guest. Good to see everybody here. It's a great crowd. This is just a terrific celebration, Felipe. Great job to you and your team. How about a big hand of applause for all the guests? Congratulations on your 30th anniversary. MFA is honored to be a partner with the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership. Through your dedication and commitment, we now have thousands of families that have a place to call home here in Albuquerque. And that means a lot. We know that housing is a foundation for strong families and strong communities, and you guys are providing that. There's a great need for housing across the state. You guys might have seen some reports and some articles over the last year or so, but there are over 32,000 rental units needed across the state to meet the needs out there. And the majority of those here in the Albuquerque area. And 44% of the families currently in these rental units are cost burdened, which means that they're paying more than 30% of their income towards affordable or towards their housing. And partners like the GAP, who's done a tremendous job, is really helping mitigate that and help families be able to be in a safe place that is affordable to them. We truly appreciate the partnership. You guys help us meet the mission at MFA. We are structured and we don't provide many services directly. We provide it through partners. We have probably close to 400 partners across the state to help us meet our mission, and GAP is definitely leading the pack there, and they do a tremendous job here in the Albuquerque area. You're helping us be successful by the success that you guys have and the innovation, the various populations that you serve. Just one example of how GAP works. They've taken over the last 10 years, I believe, about $7-8 million in low-income housing tax credits. They leveraged that and have a total development cost of over $110 million for units that they put on the ground. So that's just a great accomplishment. We look forward to the next 30 years, Felipe, and partnering with you and all of the great work that you will continue to do. So once again, congratulations to you and your team.
MFA has been with us since the beginning, from that first project, Bridgepoint, back in 1995, to doing the first-time homebuyer loans, to the success we've had over the last 10 years. MFA has been there every step of the way. Another longtime partner, and the reason why we exist, is the city of Albuquerque. When the home funds were established, they needed a way to administer those. So they established the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership as the first citywide CHODO. And so that time we've administered home, CDBG, and other local funds. So I'd like to welcome to the stage our mayor, Timothy Kelly.
Well, good evening, everyone, and what a wonderful occasion this is. You know, I was thinking, of course, at any anniversary, you got to think back, like, where were we 30 years ago? I was in high school at St. Pius, and I had no idea what the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership was. But I did think a little bit about, look, 15 years ago, which is when I got started in public service as a state senator, I remember being grateful for the challenge, but also the opportunity to represent the International District. And I remember going through that community, which of course at that time actually had a different name, and being like, wow, look at all these great housing projects that are starting. And then sitting down with some folks, many of you here, knew very little about housing. And that was the first time I was introduced to the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership and the role that they play. And so for me, I've witnessed at least half of the 30 years, and it has been outstanding. The Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership is one of the shining stars in our city and in our state. And you know, when you think about the numbers, which I know we'll throw out here and there, but 700 units of apartments. That is, inside of that, right, is at least 700 people, 700 family members, 700 New Mexicans who found a place they can call home. And of course, with rotation and so forth, it's much more than that, right? It's probably 5,000 or so people that you've been able to help in this time. And it's hard to find, actually, another organization that has had as much direct impact on people's lives. That's amazing, right? One of the most precious and important and valuable things that we can give anyone is that home. Because not just what that home is in terms of shelter and safety, but of course what it means psychologically, the dignity, and also the sense of opportunity and the sense of security going forward. Those are things that are priceless, and those are things that we do not take for granted in the city. And I know that we're grateful that the Housing Partnership provides indirectly through the housing and the support services that you do provide. Now, I also love the names of all the projects, by the way. Like, I don't know where you come up with these cool names, the Sterling, the Quattro, but my only request is that I can learn from you on the next project. But they're great. You see them around the room. And I see them as I drive around our city or as I go to different things in our city. You know, whether it's the Sterling downtown or it's the project, and I forget all the names because they're so cool, but the one up on Eubank, where I used to live, Eubank and Central, or it's the new incredible community for our deaf and blind folks that we're building. You know, these are not just unique or not just run-of-the-mill housing projects. Right? That is the first of its kind, that's right, in the state of New Mexico. And we're so grateful and proud to have it here in Albuquerque, but most importantly, I don't know who else could pull it off. I know we have a lot of partners, but the leadership that the Housing Partnership has provided is just absolutely essential. Also, I know it spans many politicians, so I want to thank all of you for sticking with the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership regardless of mayors or city councilors. That is also the trademark of a great organization. And so it's because it is such a great organization. And it's something that I know every elected official, no matter what they believe coming in, they realize how important it is and that they need to support what you do. Now, I think, do want to mention just briefly the future. And I know we heard from Izzy about the next 30 years. But I got to tell you, let's talk about the next 5 just for a moment, because the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership, along with our other providers, we are on the cusp of a very tenuous housing situation in our state. And you heard that alluded to statewide by MFA. But this is, I know everyone here knows this, but we're short 30,000 units of housing. 30,000. That means that there is no one entity, there is no government, or there is no project that's going to fulfill that need or even get halfway there. So what we're going to do is try and help with the financing and the land acquisition, things like buying old hotels and so forth. But what we need is everyone to come together in partnership to figure out what these should be on the other end. Should they be supportive housing? Should they be affordable housing? Should they be mixed use? Should they be market rent? Most importantly, who's got the skill and the talent to actually put it together, which is definitely not the city. It's usually our partners. So we're going to try and sort of continue to get that ball rolling. But I think it's a clarion call to action too. What I want in the next 30 years is double the units and double the size, double the funding, because we need that here in Albuquerque. So we're grateful that we're positioned to even have a chance. Most cities, frankly, have given up. They're just going to price everyone out. I mean, that's usually what it is, or they're just going to have suburbs. So the good news is, because of the partnership and because of everything that this community has done, we actually have a fighting chance to get to 30,000 units in, say, 10 years and actually have a vibrant city that has a strong core that's not hollowed out, a city that's also equitable and accessible for folks, whether it's disabilities or income. We still have a chance in Albuquerque. That is our promise. And that is a promise that I know you're with us and trying to help fulfill. And I'm grateful to have you along with us on that journey. So with that, I want to officially declare today Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership Day in the city of Albuquerque. Happy anniversary. Congratulations.